I think I might have found the most performing iron that we have here in the fitting room for 2025. Hey, I'm Derek from ForeGolf Custom. This is the review of the TaylorMade P790 iron. This is the new 2025 iteration. Look, I don't use those words lightly. And when I talk about this kind of best performing iron, I mean across the different categories of player that I'm seeing here on a regular basis. Oh, before I forget, thank you so much for all the new subscribers. You're very welcome. This is a bit more of a fitting side of clubs rather than, what tech and what they do. Although, if you stay with me, I'm going to bring you through why I'm seeing this thing performing. I want to talk to you about some of the shafts that I'm using and how well that they kind of tie in with the head. And I'm also going to talk you through some of the way that this head is working in its design iteration. So if you're new, welcome, thanks. As usual, folks, please give us a like. It's helping to drive things forward, and it means that it's better sense for us to do more of these videos. Right, P790, same name, same branding, same wording, same looking iron, kinda, very different. Let me explain why. This iron for us has been one of the big performers for us. This is the fifth model or fifth generation of this product. We've been with it all the way, obviously all the way through, because we've been here quite a few years now. So we've seen them from number 1 through to number 5. So what's different? Well, let's just get one thing out of the way straight away. This is not a blade in its design sense. Although when people put it down, or I let people hit it in here for the first time, they go, oh, I'm not good enough for bladed clubs. Let's get that out of the way. It's not a bladed club. It's just a back-filled cavity. The reason that it's back-filled is because there's multi-materials inside. Why is there multi-materials inside? Well, in order to generate speed from the face, which it has in abundance, in order to create this center of gravity mass location, you need to be able to put the weight somewhere, and then you've got to basically sandwich it all together. That's where the back is, and then there's a little screw in the nose here to show you where they put the speed foam in that kind of keeps everything together and helps with the acoustics. Let's talk about the speed off this thing. It's incredible. When we saw it first, when we tested P790 way back when, that was the first thing we noticed, was the speed off the face. However, for me, it kind of brings forgiveness into a whole new line and a whole new way of discussing it. Forgiveness for me is more about speed retention across the face. It's more about when I miss it, do I still retain the speed? Can I still hit the green even when I don't hit it in the center of the face? That for me is the ultimate in forgiveness. And I mean, forgiveness for some of the other products or brands is flight orientated. So it's forgiving because it gets the ball into the air. This really comes about on how it retains its speed across the face for off-center strikes, which means you miss more pin high and not in those usual long lefts and short rights. It retains that speed across the face. Second thing, it doesn't, this one versus last year and certainly the one before, doesn't feel clicky. It used to feel kind of almost tinny, where I'd have to demonstrate to clients. I'd say to people, look, I want you to hit this, but I really want you to be focused on the feel of it, the resonance, the sound of it, the strike from the face. What do you think? What do you sense? And a lot of people would say, God, it feels very clicky for me. This one is much softer. They've done a really nice job in realigning the mass, or when you thin stuff out and create this kind of a head, you get mass weight where you can then place in terms of inside the head in terms of the design. Where you place that center of gravity or weight, for instance, has an effect on how the club sounds and feels, and they both are very, very closely connected. This particular iron, if you want something that feels fast off the face but doesn't feel clicky or sound that kind of high resonance, this is definitely one to check out. They've done a brilliant job in terms of the actual top line on this. So if you want to have that kind of a neater shape looking iron, but you need all the forgiveness that normally a bigger head or a bigger footprint or profile head brings, this is the one. This is neat top line, very neat shaping, quite compact, which in fairness is a bit of a design genius, how they've managed to get it this sort of neat and small and still manage to pack so much of the design and elements of mass weighting and CG location into an iron so small as this, because normally you need a bigger footprint to be able to put all that stuff in there. They've done a wonderful job at keeping this thing neat and shaped up beautifully. It is slightly smaller top line than last year's and future or pre-iterations, but for me this just looks really nice, where it's then appealing maybe to a lower handicapper. They've also done a lovely job in terms of where they've put this weighting. So in the longer irons, so 3 iron, 4 iron, 5 iron, the weighting is more kind of built around stability. So more in the toe, little lower down. It helps to get the ball to fly, which it does. If you're an iron player and you struggle with long irons, struggle no more, my friends. This thing is brilliant in the 4 iron and 5 iron, like really brilliant. As the irons then move through the set, then the weighting changes. So what they've done is they've relocated that mass weighting into areas where it creates better stability, stronger strike, little lower ball flight, more control in the spin. So as you go like 6, 7, 8, each of the heads, the weighting is moving further up and into the face, which is creating then this lovely, stronger, slightly more organized ball flight. It's not too flippy. Last year's model and the one before, the ball flight was a little high from these. I used to find if I was bringing it into a golfer and he hit the ball quite high, it wasn't really the kind of design you'd work for. You'd work more bad down into P770 or maybe into the CBs. In terms of the lofts on this, you have to be careful. What I'm finding is I'm having to structure the lofts a little bit more around these clubs because of the higher launching, longer irons and then more penetrating, shorter irons. I'm having to customize quite a lot of lofts. Poor El Don in workshop is getting very customized loft settings throughout our sets here, where I'm actually getting the lofts tuned into the golfer based on that window of flight that I'm looking to try and get to. They've also changed the sole of the club in the longer irons. So that 4 and 5, they have a different camber on it, a different front edge. It's really important to get the lie angles done right on these. Don't just pull them up and run with them. You got to get that sole engaging with the soil just right based on your strike path and your angle of attack. So we have special sleeves here that we use to allow us to get that lie angle dialed in perfectly. We use TrackMan then for strike points and dynamic lie at impact, and that helps us get that lie angle dialed in just for the player, helps with this new sole and how it engages with the soil to then create that nice, softer, easier flight in the longer irons. What shafts am I using? Great question. Whew. Because this head now is reaching across a broader style of golfer, you can literally use anything in this. So for golfers that may be lacking a bit of speed, but they want something that's a little neater looking, they want those irons to get in the air quickly. And because it's so fast off the face and misses great off the face, we can be using, KBS 90, that Tour Light, that 90 gram steel shaft. You can even go into the KBS 80 if you want a little bit more speed or help from the shaft to flight the ball. Nippon 950, another brilliant shaft in this club. But then again, I'm moving into that sort of KBS Tour V in the 100s. I'm using S-tapers in the 120s. The Pro Plus shaft from KBS is coming out. Also got a bit of Project X going in there as well. I guess the whole idea here is, based on your swing speed and your type of strike and what you're looking for in terms of flight will determine the shaft. Go lighter, go 80s, 90s. If you want a little bit more help from the club, you want to get the ball into the air. Be careful about the flex with this. You want to try and create as much stability through impact as possible, because remember, the forgiveness is coming from the face. You need the shaft to be almost a little firmer rather than a little softer. It will help to control the club head through impact, help with those off-center strikes, because the face will save you. You don't need to have the shaft working quite as hard in terms of flex. And then go up in sort of weight and then flex profile if you're trying to control things more based on your swing speed. Little tip for you, if you're fast, so I mean like if you're plus 95 mile an hour swing speeds on this thing, these probably aren't the clubs for you. They're going to be too fast off the face. I know that sounds weird, but maybe you don't need as much help with speed retention and speed from this face. Maybe you're better with something that has a little bit more compact look, maybe controls strike off the face more. It is, however, brilliant for those golfers that are struggling with long irons. So if you're an iron player and you're not mad about hybrids, these are fantastic in the long irons. 4 irons a winner, 5 irons even better. Don't be afraid of them. Use the shaft to work with the club head to generate that trajectory that you're looking for. I'm not sort of splitting these too much. Some golfers and some people were doing reviews talking about mixing 790s and 770s. I'm really not seeing doing that much more, because where that mass weighting is placed is having a better effect on the shorter irons, and when the longer irons are using that for more trajectory, I think you're better off staying with 770 if that's the type of shape and profile you need based on your strike, and keep 790s complete. Another tip for you, get the gap wedge. Don't leave it out. You'll need that gap wedge, because if you're starting wedges in a normal sort of, like a TaylorMade MG4, or you're using Vokey or one of these, the steel is different. It doesn't have the same kind of qualities of strike, so the speed's going to drop. You're going to struggle to cover those distances. And maybe in your wedges, if you are thinking about changing up with these irons, maybe bring the lofts a fraction stronger. It might help you a little in terms of getting the ball flight to match up in terms of gapping. Do the gapping test with this. Get the distances dialed in. Get the lofts dialed into your irons. Don't just plonk them in and think that your old 56 and 60 is going to work fine with these. It's not. You're going to have to be careful about how you're spacing that out. Bottom line here is, this is probably going to be our biggest performing / selling iron for 2025, because it's reaching so many different golfers, because it's ticking so many different boxes in terms of performance off the face. I really think this is one you should consider if you're thinking about irons for this year, especially if you're looking for more flight from the long irons, more control and organized flight from those shorter irons, and just get that shaft dialed in, and I guarantee you won't be disappointed with this club. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate all the great comments and likes. Please continue letting us know if you like this video, and we'll keep doing more. And until then, I shall catch you at the next video. Cheers.